Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. It seems like everyone else is out there focused on hearts and flowers and all that, but us,
Yeah.
we like to take a different approach.
That's right, a little deeper.
Yeah, we're taking a deep dive into some fascinating historical events and quirky facts that all happened on February 14th.
It's amazing how much history is packed into a single date,
I know, right? You think of Valentine's Day in a very specific way.
right?
But February 14th has witnessed all this stuff from political milestones and technological advancements, even some darker moments.
Yeah, some real turning points in history.
For example, did you know that on this day in 1778, the American ship Ranger sailed into a French port for the very first time?
Yes, the Ranger.
Proudly displaying the stars and stripes?
Captained by John Paul Jones.
Oh, wow.
That ship carried a very powerful message.
I bet.
This was the new American flag,
Brand new.
a symbol of a young nation, demanding recognition on the world stage.
Oh, yeah.
And France, being a key ally in the American Revolution, was acknowledging their presence.
It really makes you think about how even something as simple as, sailing into a port can have huge implications.
Absolutely, actions can speak louder than words.
But our source also mentions that France surrendered out of habit upon seeing the flag.
Well, now, of course, it wasn't quite that
I
straightforward.
figured.
But the anecdote does highlight this long and complex relationship between the two nations,
Yeah.
full of both cooperation and rivalry.
Right.
It reminds us that history is rarely simple, often carries layers of meaning.
Okay, so this Valentine's Day also marks a milestone in presidential photography.
Oh, how so?
On February 14th, 1848, President James K. Polk became the first U.S. president to be photographed.
Really?
Imagine that.
Wow, the first?
It's fascinating to think about how presidential images changed since then.
I mean, yeah, back then a single photograph was groundbreaking.
Totally. And now we're just bombarded with images of presidents on social media.
Oh, yeah.
Carefully staged events, even in casual settings.
Right.
It makes you wonder how all that constant visual exposure shapes our perception of leadership.
Absolutely. The advent of photography had a profound impact on how we perceive and remember historical figures.
Yeah,
Suddenly, we could capture a person's likeness in a still image,
just like that.
and that changed the relationship between people and their leaders.
How so?
Well, it created a sense of intimacy and familiarity that wasn't possible before.
Okay, so now shifting gears a bit, February 14th also saw Oregon becoming the 33rd state in 1859.
Oregon, huh?
Might not seem as exciting as a presidential photograph or anything, but it's a crucial moment in America's westward expansion.
Adding Oregon to the Union was a big step,
Yeah,
and it set the stage for even more dramatic changes to come.
for sure.
Speaking of which, our source tells us about a rather peculiar event that happened on this date involving a citrus swap, if you will.
A citrus swap. What is that?
Well,
Okay.
you'll see.
All right.
In 1886, the first trainload of oranges left Los Angeles for the East Coast.
Okay.
And wouldn't you know it, exactly 30 years later, the first trainload of lemons left Detroit for the West Coast.
Oh, wow. So they just swapped.
You see, this seemingly simple exchange of fruit represents a turning point in American history.
Really?
The Transcontinental Railroad had finally connected the country,
I see.
opening up new markets and allowing regions to specialize in crops they were best suited for.
Okay.
Think about it. Your morning glass of orange juice wouldn't be possible without this intricate web of historical events.
It's a fantastic reminder that even the most mundane aspects of our daily lives are shaped by forces beyond our immediate perception.
Exactly.
But unfortunately, Valentine's Day hasn't always been about citrus fruits and presidential snapshots.
No, you're right. There's a dark side to this date as well.
Yeah.
On this day in 1929, the infamous St. Valentine's Day massacre took place.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
7 members of Bugs Moran's gang were gunned down in a Chicago garage, likely on the orders of Al Capone.
Wow, this was during the Prohibition era, right?
Yes, when the sale and consumption of alcohol was outlawed in the United States.
And that led to a surge in organized crime.
Ironically, yes.
Figures like Al Capone profiting from the illegal alcohol trade.
Exactly.
And our source notes that all 7 victims died of lead poisoning.
Grim humor, but it underscores the brutality of the era.
For sure.
The St. Valentine's Day massacre stands as a chilling reminder of the violence that plagued America during Prohibition. Al Capone, with his vast criminal empire, became a symbol of lawlessness and corruption.
Yeah,
This event shocked the nation
I bet.
and intensified calls for stricter law enforcement.
Wow, and as if gang violence wasn't enough, this Valentine's Day also witnessed another event that reflected a different kind of darkness in American history.
Oh.
In 1957, Georgia outlawed interracial athletic contests, a stark reminder of the segregationist policies that once prevailed in parts of the U.S.
This ban on interracial athletic contests reflects the deeply ingrained racial prejudices that were woven into the fabric of American society at the time.
Yeah.
It's a reminder of how far we've come as a nation,
Uh-huh.
but also how much work remains to be done to ensure equality and justice for all.
This Valentine's Day also saw a moment of grace and elegance.
Really? Tell me more.
In 1962, First Lady Jackie Kennedy gave the nation a televised tour of the White House.
Ah, Jackie Kennedy.
This wasn't just a tour.
No, of course not.
It was a carefully orchestrated media event.
Right.
Jackie, with her elegance and poise, showcased the White House as a symbol of American history and culture.
She had such a presence.
This tour solidified her status as a fashion icon and a powerful influencer,
I can see that,
shaping perceptions of the First Lady's role.
for sure.
It's amazing how she used her platform to connect with the American people and share her passion for history and art.
She really was a remarkable figure.
But, February 14th seems to have been a day for innovation as well.
Oh, how so?
On this date in 1876, both Alexander Graham Bell and Elisha Gray filed patent applications for the telephone,
Wow.
almost at the exact same time.
No way.
Can you imagine the tension between Bell and Gray knowing that their invention could change the world?
The invention of the telephone revolutionized communication.
It did.
Imagine a world where you couldn't just pick up a phone and talk to someone miles away.
I can't even imagine.
The near-simultaneous patent applications by Bell and Gray highlight the fiercely competitive nature of innovation
Yeah.
and the battles that are often fought over intellectual property.
Speaking of innovation, this Valentine's Day also saw Leon Forrest Douglas demonstrating his color movie device in 1918.
Color movies.
Yeah, I bet people were blown away by that.
Before that film was entirely in black and white,
I know.
Douglas's demonstration was a crucial step in the development of color film technology,
Yeah,
which transformed the movie industry.
it did.
It added a whole new layer of realism and visual storytelling to the cinematic experience.
And finally, we end this segment with a story that would be in a major political scandal.
Uh-oh.
On February 14th, 1971, President Richard Nixon secretly installed recording devices in the White House,
Secret recordings?
a decision that ultimately contributed to his downfall during the Watergate scandal.
It's a fascinating and cautionary tale.
Yeah.
Nixon's secret recordings meant to protect his presidency actually revealed his involvement in the Watergate cover-up.
Wow.
This led to his resignation and a deep crisis of confidence in the government.
It's a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked executive power.
And the importance of transparency and accountability in a democracy.
That's for sure.
Yes.
Well,
Quite a day for history.
it really was.
A lot happened on February 14th.
Yeah, who knew?
Indeed.
So,
Well-
what else have we got? Okay, so we've covered presidential firsts and citrus swaps, even some pretty dark moments in history.
It's remarkable how much a single date can encompass.
But now let's get to the heart of the matter.
Ah, yes. Valentine's Day itself.
Exactly, where did this holiday come from?
Well, like many holidays with ancient roots, the origins of Valentine's Day are a bit of a mystery.
A mystery, huh?
Our source tells us it likely traces back to the feast of two Christian martyrs, both named Valentine.
2 Valentines, come on, what are the odds?
Right. It's believed that the holiday evolved from the Roman festival of Lupercalia,
Lupercalia.
pagan celebration of fertility and love.
Ah, so they just kind of like repurposed it.
You could say that over time it became associated with Saint Valentine.
Or I guess 2 different saints with that name.
Possibly, yes.
History and legend can get a little intertwined.
Absolutely. That's part of what makes it so fascinating.
But there's this old legend that birds supposedly choose their mates on Valentine's Day.
Oh, that's sweet.
I know, right? The idea that nature itself aligns with this celebration of love.
It speaks to our desire to find meaning and connection in the natural world.
Absolutely. And speaking of romantic notions, our source mentions the Italian city of Verona,
Verona.
home to Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet.
Ah, yes, the star-crossed lovers.
Apparently, Verona receives thousands of letters addressed to Juliet every Valentine's Day.
That's incredible. It's amazing how a fictional character can evoke such strong emotion.
I know, right? Inspiring such devotion.
Even centuries after the play was written,
It really speaks to the power of storytelling.
connecting us across cultures and time.
I wonder what Juliet would think of all those letters.
I'd love to know.
But let's go back even further in time. Our source claims the first Valentine was actually a poem
Oh, really, a poem?
sent in 1415 by Charles, Duke of Orleans,
Wow.
to his wife while he was imprisoned in the Tower of London.
Talk about a grand romantic gesture.
I know, right? Sending a love poem from prison?
It's a beautiful example of how people have expressed love throughout history,
Yeah.
often in the face of adversity.
And this early Valentine highlights how our ways of communicating affection have evolved over time.
From handwritten letters and poems to elaborate greeting cards and digital messages.
We're always finding new ways to express our feelings.
It's a testament to human creativity.
Speaking of greeting cards, did you know that a woman named Esther Howland is credited with sending the first Valentine's Day cards in the United States?
That's right, Miss Howland's introduction of Valentine's Day cards in the mid-1800s marked a significant shift.
How so?
Well, it was a shift toward the commercialization of the holiday.
I can see that what was once a more personal and intimate expression of affection
Became a mass-produced commodity.
It's fascinating how Valentine's Day has always been this blend of heartfelt sentiment and commercial enterprise.
It's a curious mix.
Our source also mentions a rather curious custom from the Middle Ages.
Oh, what's that?
People used to draw names from a bowl to determine their Valentine for the week.
Really?
And get this, they would even wear their Valentine's name on their sleeve.
Wow, so that's where we get the phrase, to wear your heart on your sleeve.
Exactly right.
It's incredible how language itself evolves.
Carrying echoes of ancient customs and beliefs.
The act of displaying your Valentine's name so publicly points to a different social context.
Yeah, where romantic relationships were perhaps more intertwined with community and public display.
It makes you wonder if people were truly more open about their feelings back then, or if it was just a social requirement.
That is a good question.
It's hard to say for sure, but it certainly makes you think about how societal norms and expectations shape the way we express ourselves.
Absolutely. So from imprisoned dukes to mass-produced greeting cards and even a medieval matchmaking custom, it seems Valentine's Day has a long and colorful history.
Full of romance, tradition, and even a touch of mystery.
But our exploration of February 14th isn't over yet. We'll be right back to delve into some of the more modern ways we celebrate Valentine's Day.
And perhaps ponder what the future holds for this intriguing holiday.
Tired of your social media being so last week? Want your website to be the talk of the town? We deliver fascinating historical facts and quirky events from the On This Day show straight to your inbox. Perfect for engaging posts, captivating podcasts, and blog entries that genuinely stand out. Subscribe now for a monthly dose of daily history. Contact Romeo St. Pierre Productions for more information. Call or text 520-226-8832. That's 520-226-8832. If you are an internet radio station owner, consider adding this show to your broadcasting lineup. Our On This Day show makes every day a history lesson. Call or text 520-226-8832. That's 520-226-8832.
Now let's shift gears a bit and explore how Valentine's Day is celebrated in the here and now.
Right here, right now.
Like, what are people doing today?
Well, it's fascinating to see how Valentine's Day has become this global phenomenon, celebrated in all these different ways across different cultures.
I can see that.
And while the core themes of love and affection remain constant, the expressions of those sentiments have truly diversified.
Our source mentions that in addition to the traditional Valentine's Day celebrations, February 14th is also Ash Wednesday for many.
Oh, right, the beginning of Lent?
And if that wasn't enough, it's also National Cream-Filled Chocolates Day,
Oh, wow.
National Ferris Wheel Day, and even National Organ Donor Day.
Quite a mix of celebrations.
I know, right? Talk about a mixed bag.
It really is this eclectic mix of observances, speaks to the dynamic nature of cultural traditions.
Yeah.
While Valentine's Day might dominate the popular imagination, other observances coexist, reflecting this diverse tapestry of beliefs and values within our society.
It's a good reminder that even on a day seemingly dedicated to romance, there's room for this whole spectrum of experiences and emotions.
Oh, definitely.
But, our source couldn't resist throwing in a few Valentine's Day jokes.
Oh, I love a good joke.
One that made me chuckle was, it's Valentine's Day, ironically, with the initials VD.
Ooh, a little kiki.
Ew.
But humor often serves as a way to navigate sensitive topics.
True.
In this case, the joke highlights this sometimes uncomfortable juxtaposition of romantic love and matters of sexual health.
Yeah.
Perhaps it's a subtle nudge to think about responsible expressions of affection.
Okay, speaking of expressions of affection, our source also quits about Cupid, saying, I'm just making sure I'm getting this right. Cupid is a guy wearing a diaper that shoots arrows into people, and that's supposed to be romantic.
Ah, yes, Cupid.
It's funny because it does make you question some of the imagery we associate with love.
The image of Cupid, a winged child armed with love-inducing arrows, has endured for centuries.
It's a reminder that our cultural representations of love often draw upon mythology and symbolism.
Trying to convey complex emotions in a visually compelling way.
But looking ahead, it makes you wonder how our expressions of love might evolve in the future.
That's an intriguing question. As technology continues to shape our lives, it's likely that our expressions of love will become even more intertwined with the digital world.
Like how?
Well, we might see the rise of virtual Valentine's experiences,
Oh, wow.
personalized AI-generated love poems, or even celebrations in the metaverse.
It's mind-boggling to think about all the possibilities.
It really is.
But no matter how technology evolves, I think the core human need for connection, love, and belonging will remain constant.
Absolutely.
And that's something worth celebrating.
It is.
Whether it's with a handwritten letter, a digital message, or a virtual rendezvous in the metaverse.
You've hit the nail on the head. The human capacity for love and affection transcends time and technology.
For sure.
It's a fundamental aspect of our shared humanity that connects us across cultures and generations.
Well, folks, that brings us to the end of our Valentine's Day deep dive.
Already, it feels like we just got started.
I know, right? We've traveled from the high seas to the Wild West, from gangster-ridden Chicago to the elegance of the White House, and even peered into the future of love in the digital age.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We hope this journey through history has sparked your curiosity.
Giving you some food for thought.
And maybe even inspired you to look at Valentine's Day with a fresh perspective.
Happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us.